The rain fell heavy upon the emerald canopy, as if the sky itself was grieving the fate of a world that had forgotten its secrets. Beneath the thick leaves and whispering vines, a lone explorer named Arik pushed forward through the untamed green. His boots sank into the wet earth, and each step echoed the rhythm of something alive beneath the soil. He had come here seeking a signal that no human transmitter could have made a pulse of energy that had burned through the clouds for only a second, but had shaken the satellites in orbit like the heartbeat of a giant awakening. Arik was not new to danger, but the rainforest was unlike any battlefield or city he had known. It breathed and it watched. He felt it when he paused to drink from a stream. The water tasted of iron and life, and for a moment he thought he heard a hum within it, a tone that vibrated softly through the air. He looked up and saw nothing but endless green. Yet the feeling remained. Something unseen was aware of him. His equipment pack buzzed faintly as the sensor blinked with weak light. The interference was relentless. No radio worked for more than a few seconds, no compass held steady. Even his wrist chip flickered, as if time itself was bending around the rainforest. Arik wiped the rain from his face and moved deeper, knowing the coordinates ahead led to the place of origin. The pulse had come from somewhere near the heart of this vast wilderness, a place marked on no map known to humankind. He followed the call of distant thunder and the cries of unseen creatures. The trunks around him were enormous, old as the earth itself, covered with moss that glowed faintly in the dim light. The air shimmered with a mist that seemed alive. Sometimes it formed shapes that were gone before his eyes could define them. Once he thought he saw a hand made of light brushing through the leaves. He blinked and it vanished, but the impression stayed in his mind. By nightfall, he reached a ridge overlooking a deep valley drowned in fog. Lightning flashed, and for an instant he saw something that made his heart stop. A structure stood within the mist, not made of stone or metal, but of something fluid and luminous like glass mixed with water. It pulsed with faint blue veins as if it had veins of its own. Arik stared, unable to breathe. It was not built by human hands. He descended carefully, slipping on the wet ground, his flashlight cutting through the dark. The structure grew larger as he approached, rising from the jungle floor like a sleeping titan. The hum in the air deepened with every step. The walls seemed to move, breathing in rhythm with the thunder above. When he placed his hand against its surface, it felt warm. Symbols appeared beneath his touch, glowing faintly, then fading into the smooth surface again. He spoke softly to himself, though his voice trembled. "So you are real." The words echoed strangely, as though the structure itself repeated them in a deeper tone. Then the hum stopped. Silence devoured the forest. Even the rain paused, as if the world was holding its breath. Arik froze. The blue light brightened, and the surface began to shift. Lines of radiant energy ran across the walls, forming patterns that coalesced into an entrance. The opening widened, revealing darkness deeper than night. Arik hesitated, but curiosity overpowered fear. He stepped inside. The interior was vast and filled with faint floating lights like fragments of stars caught in the air. The walls pulsed softly with every heartbeat he took. It was as though the structure recognized him. He raised his scanner, but it went dead instantly. Every device in his pack shut off. The only sound was the slow breathing of the place itself. Then a voice spoke, though it was not a voice of sound, but of thought. It was calm, ancient beyond measure. "Human, why have you come to the cradle of silence?" Arik staggered back, gripping his sidearm. "Who said that?" "We are the guardians beneath the veil. You step upon sacred ground. This forest remembers before your kind were born." Arik swallowed hard. He could not see anyone. "I'm not here to harm anything. I just came to study the signal." The lights gathered before him, forming a tall shape, humanoid, but translucent. Its body seemed woven of mist and light. Where eyes should have been, there were twin spheres of soft gold. You heard the call of awakening. Few have. Fewer still survive the path to this heart. "Tell us, human, what name do you bear?" He hesitated. "Arik Vale. Arik Vale." The name echoed in his mind, and with it came images not his own. Glimpses of stars collapsing, of worlds drowned in fire, of beings made of light watching from the edge of time. He fell to one knee, clutching his head as visions poured through him. Then it stopped. The entity tilted its head. You carry the mark of inquiry. You seek truth even when it devours you. But truth here hungers. Auric forced himself to stand. If this is truth, I want to see it. For the first time, the being's form flickered as if surprised. Then you are unlike most of your species. More figures appeared around him, rising from the shadows like reflections solidifying into form. Each one shimmered with a different hue, some green, some gold, some white like moonlight. Their presence filled the chamber with pressure not of hostility but of immense awareness. We are the guardians of the prime veil. Their voices joined into one resonant chord that made the air vibrate. This forest is our cradle and our barrier. What sleeps beneath it must not awaken before its time. Auric's breath caught. Then the signal was a warning and a test. We wished to know if the world above still remembered balance. He shook his head slowly. You'll find little balance up there. The world is bleeding. The lights dimmed. Then perhaps the cycle turns once more. The children of the stars always forget. Before he could ask what that meant, the ground shuddered violently. A roar like tearing metal echoed from deep below. The guardians turned their heads in unison. It stirs. The light around them brightened blindingly. Auric shielded his eyes. When he looked again, the beings had vanished, leaving behind only the echo of their words. The structure trembled again, cracks of blue fire spreading across its surface. He stumbled backward and ran out through the entrance as the earth split open around him. The trees bent under invisible force, and a column of energy erupted from the valley, piercing the sky. The pulse struck the clouds, and lightning spidered outward, turning night into blinding day. Auric fell to his knees as his vision blurred. Above the thunder, he heard a whisper carried by the wind. The first seal breaks. Then everything went black. The world around Auric was silent when he opened his eyes again. The rain had stopped. The jungle air hung heavy and still. Ashes of light floated through the fog like ghosts of the storm that had passed. His body ached as if he had been struck by the sky itself, yet there were no wounds. No. Burns only a faint mark on his palm, glowing faintly blue-like. The veins of the structure he had touched. He rose slowly, feeling the pulse within that mark. Beat in rhythm with his heart. The valley lay in ruin. Trees were torn apart, earth split open, and in the center stood a crater filled with mist that shimmered with faint light. The structure he had found was gone, as if swallowed by the ground. Yet he felt it still beneath the soil, alive and aware. A whisper slid through his mind again, not in words, but in emotion, sorrow, and warning. He turned sharply, scanning the horizon. Nothing moved, but he knew he was not alone. The jungle had eyes. He gathered his gear and started toward higher ground. The signal beacon on his wrist flickered faintly again, enough to show that his position was being tracked by someone. He cursed under his breath. He had come alone, but he knew the others would follow once they detected movement. The corporations that funded the expedition wanted whatever had caused the signal. To them it was discovery, to Auric. It was something sacred now, something too dangerous to touch. Hours passed as he climbed through the broken forest. Every sound felt amplified, the drip of water, the distant cry of creatures hidden beyond sight. Sometimes he thought he saw figures moving between the trees, tall and faint, made of shadow and light, yet when he blinked, they vanished. The mark on his palm pulsed faster each time, as if warning him. At dusk, he reached a ridge overlooking a plain of fallen trees, where mist coiled like breath. The air shimmered again, and the shapes returned, but this time they did not fade. 6 of them stood in silence around him, tall, ethereal, their eyes bright with inner fire. Auric Vale. The voice returned into his mind. You should not have stayed. He took a step back, gripping his pack. I didn't come to take anything. I just want to understand what's happening. Understanding is hunger. Hunger draws ruin. The first seal has broken. Now the breath of the deep will awaken. I don't understand what that means. The nearest guardian raised its arm, and the mist around them thickened into a swirling image of vast roots stretching deep beneath the forest floor. Beneath the roots, something moved, something so massive the ground trembled even in vision. The heart of the world sleeps below. It is the memory of creation. It is the wrath of those who shape the stars. Long ago our kind sealed it when the first humans began to rise, for they were not ready to bear its sight. If it awakens, it will cleanse the surface again. Arek's voice shook. Cleanse? You mean destroy? Renewal always follows ending. He clenched his fists. There must be another way. The Guardian tilted its head as if studying him. You think as the ancients once did. Perhaps you will see what they could not. Before Arek could answer, a sound broke through the quiet. Engines roaring above the canopy. He looked up and saw searchlights cutting through the mist. Dropships. The others had arrived. They must not enter the veil, the Guardians said, their voices sharp with urgency. They will wake the heart. Arek turned toward the lights. Then we have to stop them. The Guardians surrounded him. The air around them shimmered, and the jungle itself seemed to move. Roots rose from the ground, vines twisted like serpents, forming paths through the trees. Follow and act before they touch the sacred ground. You are chosen by the mark. The veil will obey your steps. He looked down at his glowing palm, uncertain. Chosen or cursed? Both. With that, they faded into the mist. Arek ran. The forest responded to him in strange ways. Paths opened where there were none. The vines moved aside as though clearing his way. He could feel the ancient power beneath every root, every drop of rain still clinging to the leaves. It was watching, guiding. He reached the edge of a clearing where the dropships had landed. Men in exosuits were unloading heavy equipment and drilling into the ground. Their leader, a tall woman with cold gray eyes, barked orders through the noise. He recognized her. Dr. Alara Miles, head of the expedition, and the reason he had come alone in the first place. She would stop at nothing to claim what she called the core of the anomaly. Arek stepped out from the trees and shouted, Ilara, stop. You have no idea what's beneath this ground. She turned in shock, then anger. Arek Vale, I should have known you'd get in the way. Where's the structure you found? It's gone. The ground's unstable. If you drill here, you'll trigger something ancient and dangerous. She laughed. Dangerous is good. It means it's real. Before he could reply, the earth beneath them shuddered. The machines screamed as their sensors overloaded. The mist grew thick again, glowing faint blue. The soldiers stumbled back, shouting. From the crater rose pillars of light twisting like serpents. The Guardians appeared again, but this time not as faint shadows. They were solid, radiant beings towering over the clearing. The soldiers opened fire, but their bullets passed through harmlessly. You were warned! Their voices boomed in unison, shaking the trees. The seal is broken. The deep awakens. Ilara stepped forward, fearless. Who are you? We are the memory of your forgotten gods. The ground split open, revealing endless depth filled with pulsing light. The sound that came forth was not noise, but pure force pushing through every living cell. Arek fell to the ground, clutching his head. Through the light, he saw shapes vast and shifting, like mountains of energy moving beneath the surface. Ilara screamed as her equipment melted into ash. The dropships burst into flame and fell from the sky. The Guardians turned their gaze upon her. You sought power without knowing its price. Arek forced himself to stand between them. Wait, please, don't harm them. You cannot protect those who defy the balance, then punish me instead. I led them here. The Guardians fell silent. The air around them grew still. Then the leader of their kind approached him, lowering its immense form. You would offer yourself for them? Yes. Then your heart carries the echo of the first covenant. The being raised. Its hand and light enveloped Arek. He felt his body lift from the ground, his blood turn to fire, and his vision expand beyond flesh. For a moment, he saw the entire rainforest as one living being, its roots, its rivers, its clouds, all connected by luminous threads. Then darkness consumed him again. When he woke, he was no longer in the clearing. He stood in a vast cavern beneath the earth, surrounded by bioluminescent roots and flowing rivers of light. The Guardians surrounded him, their eyes softer now. The trial begins. The cavern stretched beyond sight, filled with a soft blue glow that pulsed in rhythm like a living heartbeat. Arek stood in awe, surrounded by pillars of crystal and flowing streams of light that moved like liquid air. The Guardians stood motionless, watching him, their tall forms reflecting the glow of the river beneath. The silence was deep enough to hear his own pulse echo within the vast chamber. He stepped forward, slowly, drawn toward the source of the light. At the center of the cavern, a massive sphere hovered just above the ground, its surface swirling with countless shapes, as if stars and storms were trapped inside it. Every beat of its glow sent ripples through the air. The mark on Arek's palm burned brighter in response. He turned toward the nearest guardian. Is that the heart? Yes, it is the oldest memory of this world, the breath that shaped the soil and gave rise to every living thing. It sleeps until balance is broken. Your coming has awakened it again. Arek lowered his gaze. Then it's my fault. Not fault. Fulfillment. You were chosen long before birth, though you do not yet understand why. He frowned. Chosen for what? To speak when the silence breaks. To decide if your kind deserves to remain. The words sent a chill through him. You mean me alone? The heart listens to one voice at a time. In each cycle, a being is brought here to face it. Most cannot bear its truth. Some lose themselves to its light. Few return. He swallowed hard but stepped closer. The warmth from the sphere washed over him like the touch of the sun. Inside the swirling surface, he began to see shapes forming. Figures human and alien, scenes of fire and rebirth of cities, rising and falling of stars, collapsing into nothingness. The visions moved too fast to follow. Yet somehow he understood them as if each image was a word in a language older than thought. A deep sound vibrated through the cavern, and the sphere's voice entered his mind. Human. Child of dust and memory, why have you disturbed my rest? Arek dropped to one knee instinctively. I came seeking understanding. I did not mean to awaken you. No one awakens me without reason. You carry the mark of inquiry and the echo of those who once guarded me. You are both destroyer and seed. Do you know what that means? He shook his head slowly. It means your kind was not born by chance. Long ago, the stars birthed many children. Some burned bright, some fell into silence. The guardians were among the first to rise. They built the veil to protect this heart from hunger. Yet the hunger found another path. Through you. Arek's chest tightened. Through humanity. Your kind carries the flame of creation, but also the thirst to consume. You build and you destroy, you love and you devour. Every age repeats the same song until the cycle must reset. He felt anger rising in him. So you think we're hopeless? The heart pulsed brighter. Hope is the breath that binds life to purpose. Without it, you would not have come. Yet hope alone cannot undo the scars left by greed. Tell me, human, what do you believe your kind deserves? He hesitated. We make mistakes. But we also change. We learn. Maybe not fast enough, but we try. The heart's glow softened. Then you believe growth is stronger than ruin? Yes. Then show me. The light engulfed him completely. The cavern vanished, and Arek found himself standing in a landscape that shifted like a dream. One moment he stood on a city street filled with noise and smoke, the next on a battlefield where the sky burned red. He saw faces familiar and strange, some weeping, some smiling, all fading into one another. Each step he took carried him through the memories of humankind, its beauty and its cruelty. He saw the first fires lit by trembling. Hands the first song sung beneath. The stars the first wars that tore nations apart. He saw children reaching for the sky-building machines to touch the heavens and others raising weapons to destroy what they feared. The weight of it crushed him. Yet beneath the sorrow he felt something deeper. Resilience, the same force that had driven him to this place. The voice of the heart echoed all around him. Do you still believe they are worth saving? He gasped. Yes. Because even in our worst moments, we keep trying to find light. The ground beneath him glowed brighter and the shifting world dissolved. He stood once more in the cavern before the glowing sphere. The guardians surrounded him silent. The mark on his palm now burned like fire. Then speak your will. Arek took a deep breath. Let the world live. Give it a chance to learn. Don't cleanse it. Guide it. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the sphere dimmed slowly, pulsing with a gentler rhythm. The cycle bends. The flame endures. But know this, human. Balance demands cost. He felt pain sear through his body as the mark spread across his skin, turning his veins blue. He fell to his knees, screaming as light poured from his eyes and mouth. The guardian stepped forward but did not intervene. The heart's voice thundered through the cavern. You will carry the bond! Through you my breath will flow. Your life will no longer be your own. You shall walk between worlds as bridge and guardian." Auric's scream faded into silence. When he opened his eyes again, the cavern was gone. He stood in the forest once more, the sun breaking through the clouds. The rain had stopped. The jungle was peaceful, as if nothing had happened. But he knew better. He could feel the pulse of the heart within his own chest, beating in time with his breath. The guardians appeared at the edge of the trees, their forms softer now, almost human. It is done. The heart sleeps again, and the seal is remade. You are now its voice among men. He stared at them in disbelief. You mean I have to protect it? Until the next cycle begins. Auric looked up at the sky where the sunlight cut through the mist like golden blades. He felt both infinite and small at once. And if humanity falls again? Then the forest will remember, and the veil will rise once more. The guardians began to fade into the mist, leaving only their final words echoing in his mind. Do not forget. You are the bridge. He stood alone, listening to the sound of life returning to the rainforest. Birds singing, water trickling through the roots, the whisper of leaves in the wind. He smiled faintly, though tears blurred his vision. The world had been given another chance. But so had he. The forest was calm, but beneath its calmness, Auric felt a rhythm that was not his own. Every breath he took carried the pulse of something vast and ancient. When he placed his hand against a tree, he could feel the slow heartbeat of the world answering through its roots. The heart of the world was not gone. It lived through him now, and its whisper filled his mind like the sound of wind through distant leaves. He began to walk through the rainforest, guided by instinct. His footsteps left faint trails of light that faded behind him as though the forest itself acknowledged his passage. He passed rivers that glowed softly at dusk and trees whose leaves shimmered when he looked at them. Animals watched him without fear. Even the air felt gentler, as if nature itself exhaled in relief. After days of wandering, he reached the ruins of the expedition camp. The machines were silent wrecks half buried in the earth. The soldiers were gone, but the forest had already begun to reclaim everything. Vines grew through metal frames and flowers sprouted from shattered helmets. Amid the wreckage, he found Elara lying unconscious but alive. He knelt beside her and placed his hand over her chest. The mark on his palm flared and warmth spread through her body. She gasped and opened her eyes, staring at him in disbelief. "Auric, you're alive. What happened down there?" He smiled faintly. "Something that cannot be told." "Only remembered." She sat up weakly, looking around at the ruins. "The others. Are they?" "They are gone but not lost. The forest has taken them back." Her eyes filled with fear. "You sound like one of them." He looked at his reflection in a pool of water nearby. His eyes glowed faint blue, and faint lines of light traced across his skin like living veins. He looked almost otherworldly. "Maybe I am," he said softly. Elara reached out, trembling. "What did it do to you?" "It made me a bridge between what we are and what we were meant to be." She shook her head. "We need to tell the world. People will want to know." "No," he said quietly. "The world is not ready. Not yet. If they come here again, they will awaken it for real. The balance would be broken forever. So what do you plan to do?" He looked toward the horizon where mist rose from the trees like breath from the earth itself. "Protect it. Watch over it. Until the next age," she frowned. "You can't do that alone." He smiled again. "I'm not alone." At that moment, the air shimmered and the guardians appeared around them, faint and luminous. Their presence filled the clearing with quiet power. Elara froze in awe and fear. "He speaks truth," the guardians said together. "He carries the breath of the heart and the seal of the covenant. Through him the balance is renewed," Elara whispered. "They're real. We have always been real, hidden from those who would not see." The leader of the guardians turned to Auric. "Your time among them will not be endless. The bond will change you. One day you will fade into the veil and your body will return to the forest. But your voice will remain within the roots." Auric nodded slowly. "Then until that day, I'll keep the world in balance." "So it shall be." The guardians faded back into the mist and silence returned. Elara looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You're not coming back with me, are you?" He shook his head. "The world will find its way without me. But you must remember what you saw, not as proof but as faith. She rose shakily. I don't understand. You will, he said with a faint smile, when the rain speaks again. He turned away and walked into the forest, the light of dawn breaking through the canopy. Each ray of sun painted the leaves gold and green. The sound of life surrounded him in endless harmony. He felt no fear, no regret, only the pulse of something eternal flowing through his veins. Days became weeks and weeks became months. Legends began to spread among the villages near the forest. Hunters spoke of a man made of light who appeared when storms gathered. They said he healed the sick and guided the lost. They said when he walked, the trees bowed slightly and the rain fell softly around him, never touching his skin. Alara kept her promise. She never told the world what she had seen, though sometimes at night she heard whispers. In her dreams, the sound of roots moving deep beneath the earth and the faint echo of Arik's voice, reminding her to protect the forest. She became its guardian in her own way, working to keep the land untouched by machines. People called her the Keeper of the Veil without knowing what the name truly meant. Years passed, and the world above changed. Cities rose and fell, and yet the rainforest remained untouched, breathing quietly under the care of unseen hands. One evening, far into the future, a child wandered too deep into the jungle, chasing the glow of fireflies. She became lost and began to cry. Then through the rain a tall figure emerged, his body glowing faintly blue, his eyes kind and bright. He knelt before her and said softly, "Do not fear. The forest knows you." He led her back to her village, and when she turned to thank him, he was gone, leaving only a faint trail of light among the trees. The villagers spoke of it for generations, saying the guardian of the rain still walked among them. They said when thunder rolled across the sky and rain fell heavy, the forest would awaken for a moment to listen to the heartbeat of the world. And somewhere, deep beneath the roots where the rivers of light still flowed, the heart of the world pulsed in. Silence its rhythm, slow and steady, its dream filled with the memory of one human who had chosen mercy over power. The veil remained strong, the balance unbroken. The guardians slept once more, and in the breath of the wind through the endless green, the echo of Arik Vale's voice whispered forever. The world lives. The cycle endures.